Hey guys, welcome to Jack Facts. Today's episode, we're going to talk about, well, it's going to be a poor man's guide to clan versus clan tournaments. We're going to talk about gameplay style shifts in planning and preparing for CVC, as well as different tactics to farm resources or to farm those valuable points while you're in the middle of the tournament. Let's get right into it. Alright, we're back. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What, wasn't he just wearing a different shirt? Wasn't there a different backdrop? No, everything is exactly the same. Exactly the same. I might have done an entire recording yesterday that got lost because OBS decided not to change the screens over to the game to be able to show exactly what I'm talking about. So there's a 30-minute recording of me kind of waving my hands around and illustrating things that you can't see. So re-recording, here we go. Today we're talking about a poor man's guide to CVC tournaments, and I'm going to try and break it down and make it real concise and quick and kind of hit all the important elements so you guys get the important information right out the gate. Don't want to waste your time. Basically, what it entails is an entire kind of gameplay shift of how you're going to burn your entire wealth of valuable resources. And what I'm talking about with that starts with your Great Hall. During the week, you want to pool up all of your Great Hall tokens. Every single point or token that you earn during your arena farming, if you pool all these up, the rewards for turning them in during a clan versus clan tournament are actually kind of nutty. Tier 9 and Tier 10 reward, I believe, 7,000 and 10,000 points, respectively. Hold on, pull it up right now. Da, 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 da. Right there it is. Bam. 7,000 and 10,000 points. That's just freaking huge. I mean, you were already going to be grinding the arena. You were already going to level your Great Hall anyway. So why not do it during a CVC tournament and get buku points for it? This CVC, as I illustrated in the video that has now disappeared yesterday, I burned about, I want to say, 1,700 Great Hall tokens, and I leveled up my Great Hall quite a bit. Right off the bat, walked in the door with 17,000 points. Sorry. So that's huge, and all it involves is just grinding the arena. Which, if you're milking the bots like you should be right now, you probably got a lot of those points kicking around. So just hold off and wait and burn them just during CVC. It's not like you're going to get any points from doing them any other time anyway. The next up gets into the real hoarding, which is your books and your glyphs. So if you're a Ultra Nightmare mode clan boss farmer, or even just a brutal clan boss farmer, you're going to amass some books during the week. And books give a massive return as far as CDC tournaments. I'm going to pull that up right here. Champion objectives. Right here. So legendary books, every one of these that you blow is 3,000 points. And epic books are 1,000. Alright, so anyhow, as you amass your books during the week from your clan boss chests, events, tournaments, anything else that you're doing, then just save them up. If you burn those during CVC, you're going to get a ton of points from them. You pick up 7 or 8 legendary books, 11 or 12 epic books. I mean, you're looking at 30,000 points, again, for doing something that you were going to do already. And as a poor man's guide to CVC, the real key is burning these resources that you were already going to do during CVC. So just kind of waiting for each tournament to burn through these valuable resources. And these are more resources that you, again, weren't going to get any value from burning at any other time. There aren't any events that capitalize on burning Great Hall tokens or epic books, so, or glyphs for that matter. So why not do them during CVC and help your clan out? And the real key to doing this the cheap way is pooling and burning. And it does make it take longer for you to build up the champions that you're waiting to build. But it also gives you time to kind of think it through a little more thoroughly. If during the 2 weeks or however long in between the tournaments, you're thinking critically about every legendary big book that you pick up, you're gonna make a smarter decision when you come around time to actually using them, because you'll have thought it all the way through. For example, this CVC tournament, I knew that I was going to have enough books to finish Drexar. Drexar is one of my most recent builds. This is his finished build. I got him up to a little around 200 speed and 571 accuracy. This guy is going to be a Doom Tower hard mode boss killer. He should do that job quite handily. I don't even think I'm going to need to run an accuracy aura to be able to pull it off. I know they recommend like 580 or so, and he's sitting at 571. So he should be perfect. And I did all of his booking during this clan versus clan. Well, actually, the last 6 books that he needed, because I got really unlucky with some of them. And literally the last book I put into him went into cooldown. My epic books, I finished off Tanix Hateflower, which is part of my quest to finishing the Demon Spawn faction crypt. Right here, I finished her books here, and I kind of got lucky. I saved a book. She didn't need this one right here. Then my remaining books, I stuck down into the Hippo, because my next main objective in the faction crypts is going to be finishing off Skinwalkers. And this guy is amazing for Skinwalkers. He kind of got okay luck. I got two into the A1, and then one into the A3. So I'm going to come back to him later, but hey, he's got a good chunk of his abilities out of the way. And again, I was going to be building him for Skinwalker faction crypts, so just timing out when I use those books and planning it out, I got the points out of it as well. The next big resource that you can save up and pool and wait on CBCs and burn is your glyphs. I had amassed a good chunk of tier 5 and 6 glyphs that I had already planned out exactly where every single one of them was going by the time CBC rolled around. You see, I've still got a couple of them left over, but for the most part, I burned through all of them. All my tier 5s, all my tier 6s. Got a couple 5s left over and one 6 accuracy. I think I picked that up today, actually. But I knew that they were going to go primarily into Arbiter for speed. She had a couple +3 bonuses that needed buffed up. And then Drexthar. Drexthar was almost bare bones on glyphing, and I wanted to pump his stats up as high as I possibly could, especially accuracy. In fact, I think I'm going to see if I can do one more accuracy bump here. Let's see, +8, that's good. +4, there we go. Here we go, guys, for the video. Oh, it's not a tier 6 piece you get. Rip. Okay, we'll go right on past that. Basically, these are, again, resources that you're going to use anyway, so don't just waste them willy-nilly. Hold on to them, burn them during CBC, get points for them. It's really the main way that I maintain a decent point balance during CBC tournaments. After that, you can burn rares, duplicates. Anytime, like, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I had a ton of duplicate epics in the vault. I still have a few, but for the most part, I went through, and the easy way that I do this is filter by faction, and it'll make any of the duplicates that you have pop up, and what I'll do is I'll line up, I'll go, okay, Banner Lords, check through these guys, look on down to High Elf, check through these guys, and anytime you have a duplicate in any of these factions, I just pull them out of the vault, and I'll burn them as a book, because that's 1,000 points, and it's a free space opened up in my vault, which was getting pretty stocked full of champions. I still have some duplicates in here, like that's a dupe Ugo, got a couple dupe Skull Crushers. The times I keep duplicates are champions where there is a world where I could see building another one, or even another one after that. Skullcrusher kind of falls into that. He's a good enough champion that I would definitely see that happening. Again, with Sky Touched, she's another great champion that I could definitely see building a couple copies of. I think Seer's up there, Padma's up there. So you kind of want to weigh it out for yourself, what champions you value highly enough. Taurus, there is absolutely a world where I could build 2 of those. There's actually a ton of builds where you use 2 Taurus. So you want to go through your vault, and just prune out all those duplicates that you don't want or don't need anymore. Each of them that you burn, every epic that you burn is 1,000 more points. Every duplicate rare that you burn is 500 more points. And that's easy money right there. I think I got maybe 20,000 points just kind of clearing out the vault out of all my spare duplicates of different champions. Then dupe rares, as I was talking about before, if you burn duplicate rares from your vault, you can also look through and see what copies of things that you have that are farmable. Good examples of this is Diabolist and I believe it's Fellhound. These are the 2 guys that you get from farming campaign 12-3. So most of the time you're going to have like a bunch of these guys kicking around. It's these 2 champions right here. Hound Spawn. Wrong dog, my bad. So whatever you have, like 5 or 6 of these guys built up, in between CBC tournaments, I'll hold on to every single duplicate I get of these 2 champions from farming food, and when the tournament drops, I'll burn through every single one of them, and then I'll typically use them as food to feed into something else. And it's a little counterintuitive. It is a little bit of free food, 3-star food that you're throwing away, but it's a ton of points. You're talking about 500 apiece. I think I had 5 of one and 6 of another. I mean, that was 2,500 points one, and 3K on the other. So it was a lot of points that I was able to get for just throwing some food away, which really isn't that big of a deal, especially when it comes to rare books. I have burned through all my rare books on this CVC tournament as well, but you get those things in spades. And there aren't any actual rare champions in this game that I'm pretty eager to build anymore. And maybe that'll change in the future, and then hopefully it does. But I'm assuming by that time rolls around, I'm gonna have more rare books stocked up. So I burned through those, burned the epic books, burned through all your glyphs. Those are like the bigger resources that you can burn through and time out, and you get more reward. Another thing is going to be your crafting materials. If you check forge objectives, we're getting hammered on the forge objectives, but that's okay because we're hammering them basically everywhere else. Yeah, we're up 200k now. Awesome. I need to get back to that as soon as we're done here. So as you can see, every rank 6 legendary, all the rank 6 epics, every craft you get nets you a ton of points. They're actually really, really good for amassing a amount of easy points, because if you just stockpile all the resources you were getting from farming your faction wars and farming your arenas in between each CVC again, by the time CVC rolls around, you're probably going to be able to craft like 15 pieces of perception, 40 pieces of resilience. You should be able to crank out quite a bit of gear. And as you can see, I've already gone through my my massive resources there. But those will earn you a ton of points, and they're another thing that's super easy to amass or accumulate, and they don't award points at any other time during the game. So there's just no reason not to wait and burn them during your tournaments. And up next, you have potions. Potions aren't as big of a deal, but I like to bring them up because potions, actually 5 and 6 starring champions, is a lot of points. So if you check here, tier 5, that's not it. Tier 5 on epics is 200 for 5 star and 500 for 6 star. Then on legendaries, it's 1,000 for 5 star ascension and 2,500 for 6 star ascension. That's, I mean, if you were gonna build a legendary anyway, if you just wait until CVC rolls around to pop them up to 5 and 6 stars, that's another 3,500 points for doing something that you were gonna do already. Which, as you can see, is kind of the recurring theme of the Poor Man's Guide to Clan vs. Clan. You also really want to save and hold on to your clan boss chests. Depending on when the CVC tournament drops and when the CV or your clan boss resets, usually you're able to save the chests from the day before and pop them as soon as Clan vs. Clan starts up and get all those points right out the gate. It is a fair amount of points. It's somewhere around, I think if you pop Ultra Nightmare mode, and Brutal mode, you end up with somewhere around 2,800 points, 2,700 points, which isn't crazy amount, but hey, it's, I mean, if your clan's doing dupe chests or killing the Ultra Nightmare mode clan boss, you're getting double chests there, and all 3 of those bosses, it can end up actually being a good amount of points right off the bat for doing something that you were going to do already. Other than that, potions. If you stockpile your potions, you do your ascensions during the clan versus clan. It can help a lot, but don't just burn them willy nilly. You don't really want to burn any resources that on things you weren't gonna do in your normal career in your account. Like as far as your progression goes, just changing how you do your timing of when you burn these things is all you really need to do. Then we're gonna get right into farming. When the tournament drops, there are a few areas of the game that reward way more points than anything else. And the most important to talk about is going to be 3v3 clan 3v3 arena. 3v3s, they give a crazy amount of points per gold bar that you pick up. Here, I'm going to pull that up. So I think it's 5 per gold bar that you pull in 3v3s, which, yeah, 5. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you figure 5 gold bars per token, then you go into your tiers here. I have dropped a couple ranks, downranking my team to be able to farm more easily, but if you're in Silver 1, you get 25 gold bars per victory. So you're talking about 25 times 5 for each win, and you win 3 matches across that 75 gold bars, suddenly you're looking at like 500 or 450 points right about for each match in 3v3s. That's why people are able to farm out some crazy points through 3v3. It gets way better as you rank up in your tiers. Like obviously, once you go for particularly from bronze 4 to silver 1, and you go from 15 to 25 per victory, you start netting a crazy amount of points. It kind of tapers off a little bit from there, going up to 29 and then 33. So I like to ideally be sitting in silver 1. It gives you access to the accessory, and it gives you easy farming. But it kind of downranked a little bit, didn't catch back up at the end of the week, and here we sit in bronze 4, but that's okay. It just means I'll have to catch back up at the end of this week instead. But 3v3s are huge. They're the biggest way to milk a ton of points. If you're gonna burn gems at all during your CVC tournament, this is the place to do it. The 40 gems, I think it's 15, then 40, and it cumulatively goes up as you continue to refresh your tokens. If you burn what I do is I'll do 3 resets right about, sometimes 4 if I've got the time to do that much 3v3. You can still burn a small amount of gems and net a ton of points. Like you figure each victory, you're looking at about, so for me it was like 225 points per. So every 4 wins is about 1,000 points. 10 tokens, that's 2,500 points. So each reset is around 2,500 points for me. But if I was up in silver 1 even, I would have been looking at I think it's about 450 points a win instead. So, about 5,000 points for farming up gold bars in the 3v3 area. That's a lot of points. That's how a lot of people farm in CVC exclusively. I've heard of people burning, 55, 60 matches a day just to be able to get a ton of these gold bars. What this involves, though, is going into it with a bit of preparation. At the beginning of the week, especially when you know CVC is going to happen this week, you want to drop your defense. You want to drop down to just a one-man crew on each of your teams so that you start pushing down into the red area. And what this will do is every single time you click refresh, you're going to get these dump rosters. These guys that have trash teams as well, because they're doing the exact same thing. They're trying to downrank and get those free easy wins and give those free easy wins. So with a little bit of preparation, you can go into CVC really deep into the red, and that gives you a lot of room to grind these easy teams and push out a ton of gold bars really, really quickly without getting back up into where the teams end up starting to be more competitive, and you have to actually try and push buttons, which sucks. Normal arena is also pretty decent here. It's not nearly as competitive or as far as points that you earn, but it's still pretty good. I know I try and keep my gold tokens down throughout the day. I'll still burn through those, but they're not nearly as good as 3v3s as far as time spent and points earned. After that, faction wars is also really really good. A lot of people kind of overlook faction wars as far as a way to earn points during the CVC tournament, but realistically, you can get a fair chunk of points again for doing something that you were already going to do. The stage 21 awards 2,000 points a pop. So you got 12 keys, it takes 4 keys per run. So you're able to clear this 3 times, typically in 2 different factions. So that right there is 12,000 points for clearing your faction wars, which you were hopefully going to do that anyway. A lot of times, if you get the 2 times on faction wars, your CVC, this can award even more. It is a finite thing, though. Obviously, you can't gem more keys in faction wars, thankfully. But it's still a good helping chunk of points for getting your foot forward into the clan versus clan tournament. I do like to tell people, so when they're building their teams and they're trying to just, by the skin of their teeth, 3-star stage 21, that's probably not the way. You probably do want to dump a bit more time and resources into those teams and try and get them to the point where ideally they can auto their way through 21, or at least it's not just a nightmare to manual your way through 21. Like, I hate when leaving a faction crypt at where I got lucky and barely managed to get my way through there, because then when CVC rolls around, I know darn well that I'm not going to be able to get through that stage again without burning a bunch of time pushing buttons, which that's not the way you get your points in CVC. You want to push as few buttons as possible. But aside from that, you have campaign farming. Campaign farming is another really easy way you can get a ton of points, and that's because it's across the board a few different areas that you're going to be hitting with point accumulation here. First of all, running the stages, you're going to be leveling up food. There's two kind of ways to do this, and it depends on your account's overall progress. First of all, if you're farming brutal, obviously level food in here, and as you tier them up, you get a lot of points from 3-starring and 4-starring them, as well as you're farming that stage and you pick up any more of those rares, the Diabolist or the Hellspawn. You can also burn those as books. But as you burn them for food and uprank them, you're going to get a lot of points. I'm going to pull that up right here. So leveling your 5s and your 6s are where the big bulk of the points are, but even just upgrading 3s to 4s and 4s to 5s is a lot of points. We have a 2x champion objective tournament going on right now. So upgrading a tier 5 or a 4 to a 5 right now is 1,000 points, which is a ton. I've been basically exclusively farming food for the last 4 hours now, or something silly like that, just to be able to crank out more points in the tournament through this. But as you get your food leveled up, just upgrade them right then and there. If you're lucky, there'll also be like a champion training event going on, which for me there is, and you can kind of triple benefit, or however you want to see, double benefit from the resources that you're burning, and that's awesome. It's a great way to do it. Now, if you're able, you can farm Nightmare Mode too. It is technically more efficient to farm Nightmare Mode, except it's a lot more gear demanding. And I think my game just froze. Alright, we're back. Cool. So yeah, we have a champion training event going on right now and Dungeon Divers. So I can like triple or quadruple benefit from farming food right now. So I'm trying to hammer that out as well as I can. But farming campaign is an amazing way to pull off points for this tournament. And while you're doing it, if you're able to hit Nightmare Mode, do it. Nightmare Mode has technically better experience to energy burn ratio, and it doesn't drop, or it doesn't have the mystery shards in your pool, so it gives you a higher chance of picking up the rares as far as what drops you get from each run. So technically more efficient, but it's a lot more gear demanding. I mean, there's only a handful of champions in the game that can actually do this at any kind of a good speed. It's a crazy geared Ray, crazy geared Biggin, and there's a few others out there, but my account's not in the way to be able to do that kind of stuff. At least I don't believe it is. I probably could gear Ray out to the point where I could do that, but I haven't done it because it's just not. I'm not worried about it. I've got a Queen Eva that's in some super cobbled together gear that does 7 to 9 second runs, and that's all I really care about as far as farming food. It's one of those things that you kind of have to weigh out based on your own account and how far your account's progress. The last area that I'm going to talk about farming points for CVC in is dungeons. Dungeons aren't the best way to accumulate points, but you can pull it off. And there's a few areas of dungeons that are much, much more rewarding than others. And what I'm talking about, no, not exit, is Ice Golem, Spider, and Fire Knight. For whatever reason, they made Dragon's Lair only give 75 points a pop for stage 25. The other 3 dungeons give 150 points. Oh, yeah, 150 points for clearing stage 25. So I like to farm Spider personally because I've got a decent little, I think it's a 1:32 run that I can run, and I can burn energy there, I can burn gems there, and I can amass a bunch of money, and then I can turn around and level up gear to get even more points there. So that's one way that you can kind of burn energy on dungeons and to get a bunch of points there too. But this is going to be account specific. Like if you've got a great super fast Fire Knight team and you need Fire Knight gear, go to Fire Knight. If you're Uh, if you want to do ice golem, I guess you could do that too. But no, just don't do ice golem. Let's not talk about ice golem. But Fire Knights and Spider's Den are both great ways to accumulate some extra points through this tournament. Great ways to burn your energy. Um, Stage 20 is also viable if you see stage 20 as the bare bottom of the 100 points per run. So if you've got like a super fast Spider 20 run, which I know a lot of people will, you can actually grind 20 instead. This is kind of one of those things, again, where you just need to look at what your account's capable of and assume what's best for you. But this is definitely a high value option as far as burning energy and getting points for the tournament. So last but not least, I'm going to talk about things to avoid. Since this is the poor man's guide to CVC, I'm going to be attacking this from the poor man's perspective. Pulling shards is number one on the list. You really, really don't want to pull shards. For the one, they don't give a great amount of points. You're looking at in the crazy world where somehow you manage to pull a legendary, you only get 1,000 points, and the odds that you pull a new legendary from an ancient or a sacred shard are pretty minuscule. And for the most part, as a poor person, you really, really want to save those shards and burn them during 2 times events because you get double the odds of actually pulling something that's going to be useful for your event for your account, and that's going to be the way you really always want to look at shards. You don't want to pull shards for CVC. Avoid it at all costs. If anything, burn mystery shards, your little green guys, just to get food, to level more food. But leave your blues, your voids, your legendary shards, leave them alone. Just don't burn them. It's not worth it. And you will be very grateful when that next 2 times event rolls around, and you still have your pool of shards to burn through. Potion keeps are on this list too. I put it as number two. I think Minotaur probably should be number two, but potion keeps are a terrible, I think, way of earning points. I mean, yeah, you can get a small amount of points from running your potion keeps. It's 30 per run, and I know you can do like a 40 to 30-second run through these. I just don't see it as being that good. Unless you need those potions to do a 5 or 6 star ascension on a legendary champion, I could see it then. But other than that, you really want to grind a dungeon. Grind a dungeon, one of Fire Knight or your Spider, and get your points that way. It's just way more efficient for your energy usage, and it's going to reward things more immediately that you need for your account. Minotaur. I They really need to help Minotaur. Minotaur is the oasis of value in this game. Like when you're in Minotaur, you're just away from the world. There's nothing that benefits from running Minotaur, and even the points that you get is just it's terrible. They have no events that benefit from Minotaur. I really wish that they would look again at trying to add something to the game there, but it's terrible. Don't do Minotaur for CVC. Try and stay out of there until after the CVC ends. Literally anything else in the game will get you more points. So I would try and stay out of there as much as you can. Then the last thing on the list is kind of just the idea that I've been talking about the whole time. You want to avoid things that you wouldn't have done normally to progress your account. That's like the most important thing out of this whole thing. And if you take nothing else away, please take this: is that you do the things that you were going to do already. You do the things, you burn the resources on the things that you already needed to progress your clan boss, your faction wars, your Doom Tower, your dungeon teams. You progress the things that you were already going to do already. Don't just burn those resources willy-nilly because we don't have that kind of stuff to burn. At least I don't. And if you just go along with that trend and you change how you were or when you were going to use those things to more benefit your CVC tournaments, that's going to get you the points you need to be able to help your clan out. Um, be careful burning gems on 3v3 refills. I talked about that earlier. It's amazing points, yes, but they start to add up a lot. And unless you have a lot of the gems to burn, which if you're reading this guide or watching this guide, you probably don't, like me. That's probably not the best way. Try and do 2 resets, maybe 3. If you really want to help the clan, do your 4, maybe 5. That's even a ton of gems right there. I wouldn't even recommend that. But be mindful of the gems that you're willing to spend during CVC, and that once you hit that threshold, just cut it off. And think about with your 3v3 resets that amount, the doubling amount or amassing amount resets every day at the daily reset. So you can think to yourself, okay, I'm going to do 3 resets of my tokens for 3v3s per day during the CVC tournament. And that way you can limit yourself to only burning a few hundred gems instead of, burning 1,000, which I really don't recommend unless you got you're one of those tier S clans and you're trying to push the 200k points. But I'll even point out, just following this logic, I've pulled off 171 points right now. We've still got 9 hours to go. I'm going to hit about 200k, which it's not crazy, but to hit the last milestone, you need 4.8 million across the entire clan. So that's an average of, I believe, 180,000 per member. So I'm going to be putting in the amount of points that I need if everybody averages about that amount, that we'll hit that final milestone. And we're still ahead. We're actually quite a chunk ahead, about 200k ahead. I'm on 11th place, so these guys are putting me to shame. Cashman is doing work. That's awesome. But these are all things that you can do to get ahead in CVC without burning any money and without burning through all your super valuable resources that could end up costing money. And that's it. So see you next time. Now, where is the off button?